Good morning. This is Rachel with Infused Meadow. Now, I've done a video on this before, but I thought I would do it again, mostly because I guess, try to explain a little bit more. That's what we'll say anyways. So I'm making pizza for dinner. Now, like I said, I've done this video. This is my pizza sauce recipe, and I know that there's a lot out there. And I have tried a lot of them. Now, I used to be a Domino's and Pizza Hut kind of girl, okay? In the South, that's the best that I'd found, other than when I learned how to make pizza myself at home. This sauce, to me, is the best sauce for me. So, what am I doing? I have one standard size can, just one regular can of tomatoes. Now, normally I do like the crushed tomatoes, but I have chopped, and that's still just as good, okay? So, it's just a regular size can of chopped tomatoes. And then to this, I'm going to add 2 tablespoons, or 1/8 of a cup of tomato paste. This is you don't have to cook it kind of sauce. You can use it immediately. However, what I do is when I make this of the morning, I put it in the refrigerator so that all the spices and stuff can actually have time to set and mix in. And that way you have a more flavorful sauce. And so that, you'll lay this out about 30-45 minutes before you're ready to actually make your pizza. And you can taste it at that point to see if you need to adjust, like your salt, or, maybe you want, I don't know, if you want a spicier pizza sauce, you can either add, about 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne, or just add more of the crushed chili peppers. Okay, so we've got our tomatoes, and we have our 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. Now, I also am going to go in with 1 tablespoon of olive oil. Just 1. I have a paper towel right there. I'm sure you all, if you've been here for a while, I keep paper towels probably right underneath the camera, so that I can, I don't generally set things all over the place. Or at least I try not to. Sometimes it just happens. Alright, we want to add 1 teaspoon of oregano. 1 teaspoon of basil. We're going to do a 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder. A 1/2 teaspoon of onion powder. Now, I've already shook my jars, so they're nice and shook up. So if you've made any of these, I tell you, every time you're going to use these, make sure you give them a good shake, because they're not from the store, so they do clump. We want a 1/2 teaspoon of sugar, and this is to balance out all these flavors. Sugar really helps with your tomatoes. It helps in a lot of dishes, but especially, the acidity and stuff in your tomatoes. We're going to go in with a 1/2 teaspoon of red pepper flakes. Now, like I said, if you like yours spicier, go ahead and add a little bit more. You could start with a 1/4 teaspoon more, so 3/4 teaspoon instead of a 1/2. We're going to do, a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And this is where, like I said, you'll taste, and then that way you'll know if you need to adjust, because this will also depend on the tomatoes that you use. So if your tomatoes can already contain quite a bit of salt, you may want to drop this down to a 1/4 teaspoon, or just don't add any. That way you can taste it, and then you'll know if you need to add a pinch of salt or, you know, 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And then we're going to add a 1/2 teaspoon of black pepper. Okay, so because this gets loud, I'm going to pause this and we'll be right back. Okay, so I blended it for about 14 seconds. It doesn't take long, but I'm also not using whole tomatoes. Now, if you're using whole tomatoes and you want a smooth sauce, it may take you about 18 to 20 seconds of blending, but it shouldn't take you longer than that. This is a nice thick sauce. You do not need to add water to this. And then, like I said, all I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in my refrigerator. Well, I have a jar right here. Just kind of knocking some of that down a little bit. I don't know why. I do weird things sometimes. Okay, 1 second. Let me move this. Okay, so I've moved that over there because I still got to clean this. This is a very nice thick sauce. It will thicken a little bit more when it sits in the refrigerator. So you can see how thick this is, okay? And it tastes absolutely delicious. And what I like to do is I will put this in my refrigerator. It'll set for a couple of hours. I'll pull it out about 30 minutes before I'm ready to put it on my pizza. So roughly right after I make my pizza dough later, I will set this on the counter. And then that way, all I have to do, you know, is just put this on my pizza. You can use as little or as much as you like. This is also really good if you take your pizza dough and turn it into breadsticks and use this as your dipping sauce. So, you know, with the sauce that you have left, you can use that as your dipping sauce for breadsticks. You can also double the pizza dough recipe that I've put, you know, that I use. And you can use half for a pizza and half for breadsticks. If that's what you want to do, you know, you can roll that in a little bit of Parmesan with some extra garlic, and you could do it depending on your, you know, your flavors that you like there. You can add extra basil, oregano, onion powder, a little bit of salt if you want it. I usually don't add a lot of salt when I do the garlic bread, because this has some salt in it and Parmesan tends to be salty, but it's up to you. You do what you like, okay? Anyway, this is a really good sauce. I really hope that you make this and that you love it, if not like it. Now, if you like a sweeter sauce, you're going to want to, you know, that 1/2 teaspoon of sugar, you may want to add just a little bit more. But after you've had this sitting in the refrigerator for about an hour, go ahead and pull it out and taste it and see if you need to adjust your salt. After an hour is when really you should know if you're going to want more salt or not. That's why I say start with, you know, depending on your tomatoes, you may want to start light, and then you may want to go heavier. It's all based off the tomatoes that you use, how sweet they are, or how acidic they are. So I hope that helps and that makes sense. But anyway, hope you make this. I hope you love it, if not like it. And if not, then as I always say, I hope you find the recipe that's right for you out there somewhere. And have yourself a very wonderful day.